Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for Coffee and Card at Home. So this is the final week using the Sweet Strawberry bundle. And this one's a little bit different because there's not a strawberry in sight. We're just using the flowers from the set and we're using an interesting technique on the back, which I will show you how to do. So first of all, we're going to start off with our card base. And this is Mint Macaron. And it's actually a 9.5 centimetre square card. So I've cut it from the card myself. So when you cut it, that distance will be 9.5, and then the distance from here to here will be 19, and then you halve it for where you score it, so you halve it at 9.5. So it's just kind of roughly 4 by 4 inches is what it works out at. So that gets that bit done first of all. We can pop that to the side. Then I've cut another piece of Mint Macaron, but you'll notice that this one is wider. So what we're actually going to do is we are going to, just double check, yes, that's right. We're going to put it onto our card like this. But we're going to chop each of them up so that they will fit onto the card base with the tiniest gap in between each one. So it kind of looks a bit like a wood panelling effect. So what we need to do first of all is we need to stamp our floral background. And I'm using the large and the small flowers from the set, and then the bits that then colour them as well. Okay, so I'm using tone on tone ink, so I'm using Mint Macaron, and first of all I'm just going to stamp my flowers over my card, stamping off the edge as well as on the card. And then I'm going to stamp my smaller flower as well. One more there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to colour in the flowers, but rather than actually stamping the coloured part exactly in the centre of the flower, I've just gone slightly to the side. So I'm going to start with my biggest flower first, and I'm purposefully not going to go over the top. So I'm just going slightly to the side on it. There we go, that's all the big ones. And then we're going to do the same with the smaller ones as well. So you're being really quick with your stamping, not too careful. There we go. And I think on my example, I may have actually used a slightly darker ink. I think I've used just Jade, which coordinates really well with Mint Macaron. So if you wanted it to be a bit darker, you could do that. I'm just going to put that to the side for a minute. So I'm going to bring in my piece of white for my sentiment. So this is using one of our tag punches. So I've cut that out already, and then the sentiment that I'm going to use, which then fits perfectly, is Happy Birthday You Sweet Thing. And I'm just going to stamp that with real red. Okay. And then whilst I've got my red, I'm going to pop that to one side. I'm going to stamp some flowers. So I'm going to use the smallest flower with just the outline. And this coordinates with the punch. So I'm just going to stamp a few of these. So you can just see them. It's that tone on tone again. And then we're just going to punch those out with the punch, so you'll see the flower is there. So just going to pop those in there and try and line them up. This is where you end up with lots of little bits cut out. Just a little bit fiddly, making sure you've got the flower the right way round, but you get there eventually. If you have stamped in a certain place and you can't quite get to the shape, then you can always use a post-it note just to hold on to that for you. I'm just going to cut a little bit of my excess card away. There we go. So I'm just going to get my bits of rubbish out of the way. And now I should be left with 4 stamped and punched out little flowers. So that's all my stamping for now. I'm just going to put that to the side. So the next step we need to do, if I bring back my other one, is we need to cut these into centimetre strips. So I'm going to take my background that I did earlier. So I'm going to take my paper trimmer. I'm going to use this side of my trimmer because it is a little easier to deal with. Now what is really important is that we keep this in the same order, because we're keeping the image complete, it's just we're splitting it up. So our card is going to fit on, yeah, that is right, our card is going to fit on that way round, and then I'm going to split that up. So centimetre strips. I'm going to place it down at the side, but like I say, keeping it in the same order, because we want that to have that pattern when we fix it down. So this just takes a little bit of time to go through the whole thing. So if your pieces do get out of order, it's a bit like kind of putting a jigsaw together. So the last one's a little bit fiddly. So, there we go. So I just move those back over, keep them in the same order. What we're then going to do is we are going to attach them to the card. So first of all, I'm going to lay them down, and you really only need a very small gap between them. And when you lay them down, obviously they're a bit prone to moving, so just be aware that they might not be completely where you want them to go, but you'll be able to sort that out better in a minute. We're just going to check that we can just get them all on, because actually I think, if I remember rightly, when I did my sample, I could only really fit on, I had to leave out one. So yeah, we just need to leave one. So if you leave that to the side, then that should be fine. So I'm going to slide them off again. And then we're going to start to actually stick them down. So they are just glued down with Tombow. And as you'll probably see, I have just run a strip of Tombow down, and I've put them quite close to the edge of the card. I'm going to try and line everything up so I can use this grid line that I've got towards the bottom of the card. Actually, if I just move up so you can see, that's going to help me with my bottom edge there. Tombow just gives you a bit of wiggle room just to be able to move it before you're completely happy with where it is. Whoops, glue on my trousers. I'll just double check which way that fell. Yeah, so when I put that on, just going to leave that small gap. So this is a little bit laborious, but I think it creates quite a nice effect of just something a little bit different. And you could obviously do this with any image and with any card that you had. Just the key thing to remember is to keep your pieces that you've cut out in the same order, so that you are not going to kind of suddenly have a piece that's in the wrong place, and then it looks a bit odd because the picture doesn't carry on. And this would work quite nicely with like an actual image of something. Actually, you could use. So obviously try and just make sure that you are keeping everything as straight as you can. So last piece now. Hopefully this is the bit you always have to hope works. When you get to the very end, you've actually got enough space there. Brilliant. So that has fitted in, and like I say, you should end up with one piece that you don't need, so that can be put in the bin unless you want to use it for something else. So the next part is that I'm going to stick my sentiment on. That I mounted with dimensionals. So just about 4 should work fine for that. And I'm just going to pop that not quite in the middle. I think it looks nice if it's not perfectly central, a bit offset. And then I'm going to get my flowers, and I'm going to put a couple on with a dimensional, and then I'm just going to put a couple on just as they are with some glue, and I want some of them to overlap or go under my sentiment. So I've got a couple there that are just as they are, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this one, and that one can go under there, and then this one is going to stick on to not my finger to the bottom there. There we go. So the final thing to do is just to pop a yellow pearl in the centre of each of those flowers. Just helps to finish it off. And if you don't have any yellow pearls, I'm doing very well with picking mine up. if you don't have any yellow pearls, you could always use a white pearl and then use a Stampin' Blend or a Sharpie just to colour them in, as they are alcohol pens and therefore the colour will stay on the pearls. There we go. And if you wanted, you could put a few extra gems around there as well. So that's finished. So if I just bring back my other one, obviously you can see a slight difference in the colour. So yes, I definitely think I did this in just Jade and this one in Mint Macaron, so you could do either colourway. But just a slightly more interesting background than it just being stamped. So I hope you'll have a go at that. So just a quick recap of what we've used. We've used the Sweet Strawberry stamp set, which coordinates with the Strawberry Border Punch. Card base we've used is a 9.5 centimetre square piece of card in Mint Macaron, and then we had a rectangle which fitted over the top, which measured 9 centimetres I think by 8 centimetres. A piece of white which was punched out with one of the tag punches, and then we've used some real red for our flowers. And then the inks that we've used are on this one. This was just Jade. On this one, Mint Macaron. So you can see the slight colour variation. And then real red for our flowers and our sentiment. And then finally some yellow pearls just to finish off the flowers. So I hope you'll have a go at that. If there's anything you need any help with, please let me know. Anything you'd like to pop in the comments, please feel free. And also, if you'd like to order anything, then please get in touch and I can arrange to get an order done for you. So have a great week. We will be moving on to a new stamp set next time, which is Cactus Cuties. And that is for the month of February. So I will see you then. Have a great week. Take care. Bye.